She was just another chick. Now she's back with her mother.
Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We're back from that break. Mom's playing little tricks on you. Little ghetto boys in there. Big Rube, you know I'm playing Southern Fried Hip Hop for you because a couple of weeks ago you was hating on the NYC and the NJ. So of course I had to hit you in the chest with it. And then this week I kind of came back and gave you a little bit of love.
Can I get some West Coast next week?
Yeah. We can do West Coast next week.
Express yourself.
All right, express yourself. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We transitioning from our sports hour to our socially conscious and entertainment hour, and as we do every single week, we begin that time frame with the missing and/or exploited child. And this week, we've got Brianna Tanae Allen, who is an endangered runaway. She's been missing since September 11, 2012. So since last Tuesday, her date of birth is November 29th, 1996. She's 15 years old from Gaithersburg, Maryland. She's a black female who stands 5'2", 125 pounds. She wears her hair cropped short, nearly bald. She's got brown eyes. I'm sorry. She's missing once again from Gaithersburg, Montgomery County in Maryland. She's currently wears her hair cropped very, very short. She may also be wearing wigs, unknown styles and colors to disguise herself. She has a pierced nose, pierced eyebrow, pierced tongue, pierced navel, and pierced ears. She was last seen wearing a pink hoodie with the letters AERO, Arrow, and blue jeans, carrying a pink and tan Victoria's Secret brand duffel bag. She may frequent the Montgomery Village area of Montgomery County in Maryland. If you have seen Brianna Tanae Allen, please contact the National Association for Missing and Exploited Children at their website, missingkids.com, or contact them by phone at 1-800-THE-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Let's bring Brianna Tanae Allen and every single missing and or exploited child that we've ever profiled. Let's bring them all home. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We're going to transition again into our socially conscious and entertainment hour, and how we start off by doing that is I want to talk to our special guest tonight. We've got someone on the live line with us who is a resident of Chicago, who is going to offer her insight on what it feels like to be in this town while all this turmoil is going on. So we're going to kind of focus on the teacher strike, and then we'll move on a little bit to a couple of other things. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome and thank our guest on the live line, Miss Tiffany Miller. How you doing, Tiff?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing wonderful. Doing wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Going to jump right in it. Just kind of set some parameters. You're originally from out of state, but you live in Chicago now. How long have you been in Chicago?
I've been in Chicago for 6 years. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
And yes, no doubt, Brooklyn all day, every day. But
this man from Richmond, Virginia, he really, you know, everybody wants to say it's Brooklyn. He just wanted to be part of that, so don't mind him. Go ahead.
So I've been living in Chicago for 6 years now.
Okay.
I have a 4-year-old daughter. Me and my fiance, we have a family. We're raising our daughter. We're about to have another child in January.
All right. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. It looks like you just broke some news here on Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
I hope he knows.
So, as far as the teacher strike, now let me preface this by just saying this. I know someone's going to ask or whatever. No, my daughter does not attend Chicago Public Schools. She's in private school. But just because I choose to educate my daughter privately does not mean that I'm not concerned with public schools and how other children are being educated. I mean, we're all a part of this society. And I side with the teachers. I think that everyone's getting it twisted and thinking, oh, they just want more money. They make enough money. They just want more money. They're holding out for more money. It's not about the money. Right now, what they're fighting for, and I don't know if you've heard, the strike is still going on.
Right.
They have an agreement. However, the teachers said, we want to spend a couple of days and actually go over the contract and the agreement first with our lawyers before we go back to work or sign anything.
Right.
And that put the mayor in an uproar, and he's now trying to take them to court,
right,
to force them back to work.
Yeah, I saw about that, and that's Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who was going to sick the legal eagles on the striking teachers. Now, I understand the whole thing about, and we talked about this very, very briefly last week on our show. I understand the whole thing about unions, and you got to get what you need to get with regards to your demands and when your contracts. I get all of that. What do you say to the person that's out of state, the person in Brooklyn or the person in Richmond, Virginia, who says, you got teachers who walked off the job, and couldn't you figure out a way to get this somewhat resolved prior to do that? Big Rube actually said on the air last week, he mentioned that you had all summer to try to work this out. What do you say to the person that comes to you with that perspective?
I say they're absolutely right. They did have all summer to work it out, and that's a question that needs to be posed to the school board and to Rahm Emanuel. Why was he at the DNC a couple of weeks ago when he could have been here working this out?
Okay. That's a good one. That's a good point.
I mean, it takes two to negotiate. Everyone's going, oh, the teachers walked out, whatever. Well, you know what? The school board and the mayor allowed the teachers to walk out. Sometimes you have to show someone better than you can tell them. And it's not, they had a contract in place. They had a contract under the old administration, and Ron came in like a bully and just said no.
I'm guessing you're not. I'm guessing you're not a fan of your mayor.
You know what? It's not that I'm not a fan. I just think that he's handling this the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he went to Chicago from the White House and said that he had big plans on trying to get Chicago back on track. And I do remember him saying something about being a strong proponent of the teachers in their union. So the fact that he's taking this stance is somewhat surprising to me. But, he's on the other end of this argument, so I guess it isn't so surprising.
He's acting like a bully. That, how do you do that? And then what's bigger than that, that they're not really broadcasting. Well, I don't know if they're broadcasting it nationally, but what we know here is that they, what the teachers are concerned about, they're closing a lot of schools here, underperforming schools. Now, people say, oh, well, there's a lot of bad teachers out there. Well, there's a lot of bad people in any profession. Right. Not everyone graduated from med school at the top of their class. There were people graduating at the bottom. Yeah, somebody had to come in last, right? Yes. There are lazy people or ineffective people in any profession that you have. I'm absolutely not about, awarding or rewarding those type of people. Of course not, But when you have a system that makes it hard for principals to be able to get rid of, those lackluster teachers, that's the problem. And I don't have any answers. This is just my hearsay. This is just my opinion as a parent. And we appreciate it. And we appreciate that. That's the reason why we wanted to bring you in.
Miss Tiffany.
Okay, I just want to preface that.
Miss Tiffany.
Yes.
Okay, this is April here, and I am an educator here in Virginia. So I'm really curious as to what other issues the teachers have other than pay. Because I know here locally we have a lot of issues, and it's not all pay. It's resources, it's classroom size, it's materials, it's a little of everything. Assistants, aides. What are some of the other issues that's holding this contract up? And do you know what was in the first contract as to why Emanuel came in and kind of redid it or is trying to redo it?
Okay. I do not know what was in the original contract. I believe it had something to do with the pay rate that they were going to get raises. Okay. However, what you said, that's all of that and more. Okay. I think it's countrywide, in urban areas as far as public education. I know the teachers, when I said that they were closing schools, it's really hard if you don't know, and I was not privy to the culture in Chicago until I moved here, as far as how prevalent the gangs are.
Right.
I come from New York. We didn't really have gangs like that.
Right.
Right. I don't come from that kind of culture, but it's really strong. It's really prevalent here. And if you're closing a school in Inglewood, where maybe the gangster disciples kind of had the hold in that neighborhood, and now you expect this child to go to Roseland to school, where the black disciples are, now you're creating a danger
Right.
for these kids. So now, as an educator, I'm all for promoting and giving merit and evaluating teachers. I'm all for that. Everybody needs to be evaluated at some point on their job.
Exactly.
And people who are doing exceedingly well need to be promoted for that and rewarded. However, it needs to be a level playing field. You can't give me 35, 40 students in a class, by myself. I don't have enough textbooks. Half the kids probably aren't on the level for the material that I'm supposed to be teaching. You want me to teach all these lessons and gear it around this test? That's not, I feel like a lot of teachers feel like they're not really teaching. They're just trying to train people to take a test, train people to perform well on the test, as opposed to really educating them. And then I may be a kindergarten teacher. A friend of mine who's an educator who told me a story how she taught kindergarten. And she said half the year she would get these kids who've never been in school before, what have you, but some of them whose parents have not done the basics, where they're coming in and they don't know their names because they've been called man all their lives.
Exactly. Go ahead. I was going to say I teach in a very high poverty area. Like our kids, 98% receive free lunch. The average education of our parents is 8th grade. So I understand completely what you're saying. And I really feel that a lot of this goes back to poverty. We really have to tackle poverty first before you try to address some of those other issues. But your teacher friend is absolutely correct. I've taught kindergarten. They can't tell you a name, a phone number. They're lost. They can't tell you their mom's name, anything like that. So I actually applaud the teachers in Chicago for taking a stand and asking and demanding the help and the resources they need.
Absolutely. And if so now you want to grade me on how well I am, how good of a teacher I am on this test.
Right.
Where maybe we haven't gotten the kids to that point where they're able to excel in this test, but maybe this kid now knows their full name.
Exactly.
Knows their phone number. Those are great games.
Exactly.
I'm not being measured on that.
Exactly.
I'm being measured on this test. Or how about, you've got kids that are dealing with a whole bunch of issues at home, maybe daddy's in the bedroom or, this and drugs and gangs and everything.
Right.
And as a social worker, I have 125 kids to one social worker.
Right.
I got a hit on the Facebook page. Hakeem is hitting us up, and this is his quote, his comment. They want a 7% raise every year that the city can't afford. Ron wants to give them a 16% raise over a 7-year period or something like that. City wants to hire the best. Union wants preferential treatment. That's Hakeem, long-time listener. Big Rube, I'm going to give you an opportunity to either address Hakeem's point or make it wrong.
All right, I'm going to address both because I'm on record as saying I'm not a fan of these standardized tests. I'm a fan of them for maybe every 4 years, but not every other year because I think that's just stupid. But as far as my issue that I have, I understand part of the situation. I mean, I'm not there, so I don't have to live it. So this is just strictly on a opinion basis. I have an issue with people walking off the job, regardless of what their job is. I feel I'm here for the kids because the kids are the people who are really getting punished, and I feel bad for them. Now I understand, the mayor is doing whatever. I mean, he sounds like he's questionable sometimes anyway. But when it's all said and done, he's got a lot of issues to tackle on, and I feel like you don't dislike him. I feel like you are not feeling him as far as what he's doing. But I think in my opinion, he's not feeling the teachers because they just rolled out, and it's just like, unfortunately, any type of strike. When you roll out, you kind of lose leverage because it makes you look bad. Now, I'm not saying the teachers shouldn't get their raise. I'm not saying they shouldn't get their schools fixed. But to me, they had all summer to deal with this, and the fact that it's not dealt with, to me, is an issue. And I don't even particularly appreciate the fact that they rolled out.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead before you jump in, Carlton. Hakeem hits us again. He's somewhat agreeing with you, Ruben. He's saying teachers should not be allowed to strike, nor should cops or firemen. They work for the people. The public pays their salaries and benefits just like other government employees can't strike. Carlton Banks. Hakeem is definitely taking Ruben's side and Ruben and his side, and I have an idea of where you're going. I'm guessing that you're going to disagree with that.
I'm totally disagreeing with it. The whole thing is management knew the contract was coming up, not so much the teachers. It's up to management to come back to the board and say, hey, let's start having this meeting. I'm pretty sure they had meetings prior to now in order to resolve it before it got to this point. But it's up to management to say, hey, yes or no, they're going to agree to their terms. If they don't agree to those terms, those teachers have a right to walk out. Until you really work in a union environment, April, I know you disagreeing with me. April, I know you're disagreeing with me, but hold on. You have a contract, do you not?
I do.
Do you work
I have a contract.
Do you fulfill your contract?
I do.
Okay, and when your contract is up, if you can't get the terms you want, you either walk or you accept what they give you.
But their contract is not up. That's the problem. They rolled out.
You can do that as a union.
Yeah, but that's not right.
Why not? That's what this country is built off of. Unions.
I don't know that I agree that the country is built on.
Yeah.
No, of course, Tiffany, go ahead.
Carlton, I really agree with you. And it's not just because I'm whatever. I'm pro-union because I feel like, and I've never been in a job where I was union or anything like that, but I feel like if you look, this is what's been happening across the country. Once you start dismantling and disempowering the unions, that's going to trickle down to all the workers in general. I think that this country was built on unions and is strong, and not to say that there isn't corruption in the unions and things that need to be changed, or whatever. But I really feel that if Rahm Emanuel, okay, the city is broke, Chicago is broke, okay, and we know that, everybody knows that. The deals, Mayor Daley, the past mayor who was there for like forever or whatever, who did whatever he wanted to do. Made all kinds of deals and things and whatever.
And his daddy before him.
He didn't care. He was leaving. He knew he was leaving, so he didn't give a F. I'm sorry.
And his daddy before him.
I feel that if Ron had come in, okay, look, teachers, this is the situation. We don't have the money for this. We can do this or whatever. But Ron is a bully. And you got to understand the way he came in. He just came in and just started wrecking shop. And sometimes it's not what you say or how, it's how you say it. You can't just ram something down somebody's throat that had a contract in place. And now you're just going to override that and say, look, this is it, and this is what it is. We're doing this and that. But, wouldn't you be mad? I know I would.
Let me say this, Carlton. We all have a right to strike. And I am a member of the local teachers union here. And if they say we striking, I'm out. Thank you. I'm out. I'm putting on my little black T-shirt. What do you want me to wear? Where are we going? I'm out. I'm gone.
Big rope.
And I'm gonna say.
I'm not saying, and that's not done without taking. That's not done without taking the kids into consideration. But in order for me to be the best that I can be for the kids, there are some basic necessities I need. And if I feel like you're not giving me that, we're walking.
Big rope.
But and as most people don't know, I also work for a union, but my opinions are completely different. I have no yes or no to the union, but then again, my job is not a public job. So, what if the police decide they want to strike? But if Richmond
for overtime, come on.
But if they said we ain't gonna work no more, hell has no fury.
Teacher scorn.
Like anybody's going, because your house will get broken into next day. But my issue is simply that, there are both sides have issues here. Rom obviously decided that, at using your terms, he's a bully. But let's just be real about it. There's some jobs that should not be unionized. And I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna agree with Akeem on that. I'm not gonna say teachers shouldn't be unionized, but if we want to go really into history, the teachers union is one of the strongest unions in the country. So basically, if they want to, they can completely handicap our children's learning if they wanted to. Mm-hmm. So should anybody have that kind of power? No.
Go to work and handicap it. Just don't be a good teacher.
Desiree is hitting us up on the Facebook page. She said if the city is broke, how are they going to give them a raise? It's a good question.
How's the city broke with a 12% food tax?
Well,
Miss Tiffany just explained it.
Well, let me tell you why the city's broke. Daley, again, who I said was in power forever,
And his daddy before him.
He did a whole bunch. I mean, his grand idea. He thought Chicago was going to get the Olympics. So, assuming, because I am Mayor Daley and I get what I want, that he was going to get the Olympics, he took a lot of public funds and, did a lot of different things, rebuilding here. He tore down the project. Okay.
Cabrini Green?
All of the projects.
So all of them are gone.
Gone. What happened? Let those Negroes...
We hear you.
Negroes is okay. Go ahead. Negroes is okay. Go ahead.
Let them loose. Where they go? I don't know if you know this or not. Chicago is a very segregated city.
Yes.
I did not know this.
Yes, I've heard that.
Here, I'm from New York. We live next to. We don't have that kind of space to be segregated like that. You fit in where you can get in.
Right.
And but it's very segregated. Chicago. If you're black, you live on the south side or the west side. If you're white, you live up north.